Hello and welcome. Today it is all about bits and pieces inside this Lego room. Now we've been doing lots and lots of different episodes of the Disaster series, and last week there was a 3-hour upload to get us back to where we are now. Now if you missed it, this happened. Oh, very It was a very, very good fun live stream, minus falling through the table. And then we got to here. Then after 3 hours of me talking absolute nonsense and trying to get bits and pieces done, we are where we are. Now, today is going to be a bit more of a damage report. I basically want to go over the bits and pieces that I need to fix and think about how I'm going to get the bits and pieces repaired before we move on to what is either going to be season 2 of the Disaster series or an utter chaos thing. So we're in between bits and pieces at the moment, so I have no idea what it's going to be called on the title, and I have no really idea how to do this introduction, but I know what we want to achieve. Now, we have started up here with this Daily Bugle. This is where it all started off and all kicked off, but this was really, really good fun. No, I am yet to find the pieces needed for that. That's smashed. Now, that up there looks absolutely outstanding. And then we were in the process of putting these bits and pieces together, and then we've got these base plates at the bottom. But what I want to achieve is just getting these in rough. Now, I also want to change some bits and pieces on the top of the shelf. It's only a base plate, so it's absolutely fine. The Daily Bugle stays where it is, but I've got a little bit of an idea. Now, Jay, from Jay's Toy Collection UK, has always said the Natural History Museum is a DC Easter egg.
Gonna ask you a Lego question here.
Please, yeah.
The Natural History Museum. A base plate or a base plate and a half? Well, I'm just thinking, if you've at the back now, once this thing is in at the back, is it going to give you a base plate either side, or is it just going to be a base plate and a half? Because if it's just a base plate and a half, then you can have the Natural History old downtown Gotham next to this.
I've not put 2 and 2 together until the Natural History Museum in Gotham City. It's obvious, but for some reason I didn't click onto that, so I'm an idiot. So what I am thinking of doing is really thinking of a good place to put that, and I think that's how we're going to start. So we're going to start with where that can go, moving 1 or 2 different bits and pieces. Then we're going to get these bits and pieces in, try and find some of the base plates, and basically just tidy up and make space on this side. Because when these come out, I need space to repair them, and I need space to rebuild them, and I think they're going to have to go over here, which is not fun. And like I said, we've got to tick off the bits and pieces that also need repaired. Boat, Disney Castle needs to be finished, and there's all sorts of stuff absolutely everywhere. So it took all week to get that 3-hour video put together, so I know how long this is going to take. We'll see how much we can get done, and I have no idea how long this is going to be, and then we'll get back to a regular scheduled upload after that. Hopefully starting with ripping these out, putting them on top of the table, because I have got a plan in place for that, and then we'll measure up to see if the Kallax unit will fit underneath there, so we can then create an under table display. Then fingers crossed we can get the stuff off the table, put it into there. You can see how this is going to get messy very, very quickly. So we're not going to try and drop too much today, but we do want to try and achieve at least something. So starting off with this section, now you can see up here, that's what we've done with the Daily Bugle. Underneath this, we have the Batman shadow box. Now going round and past the Batman shadow box, we've then got the tumbler going up what's going to be Gotham PD. Beside that, we have then put the cinema. Put you on the new shelf because it's fantastic. They can actually do a little bit of this hands-free. So as I was saying, move the head off, and I'm going to put the diner where the head is just to see if we've got the height. Then I know that we should be able, on the shelf beside the Daily Bugle, to fit a base plate in half, because that's what we've got at the moment, plus a base plate, and then another road, which will look really nice. So where you are right now will then be Spidey related, and then the other side it will be DC related. Now I can put a bit of an Easter egg in as well. I've got ideas for this because I haven't forgotten about the Spider-Man bridge. So we could double up the Spider-Man bridge as a bridge between Spider-Man and the DC section within its own theme park area. But just think of Universal Islands of Adventure at Universal in Florida. When you go into their superhero section, you've got the big roller coaster Hulk, and then you've got all the different bits and pieces, all the X-Men. It's all merged together with individual rides like the Daily Bugle, but just imagine that with DC at the same time. So we're taking Abu Dhabi, Florida, mixing it all together, don't know what that's supposed to be, and then we're going to go from there. So worst case, the Spider-Man bridge goes somewhere else, and we can make that a little bit more of a feature. Potentially we can make that as a ride or something silly like that. So I need to see if that will work, because I think that's the best way to do it. So the head itself is just here by you. Now we have started to put some row plates and stuff down, but I thought I want to get this bit done and nailed just to make sure that this is in. Obviously this will go straight back up on the shelf on the other side, so it's out of the way, so it won't get damaged, famous last words. And then we know what we can do with that. Now the diner has got a row plate beside it already. I know the diner does look very, very good beside the Daily Bugle, but I think the Natural History Museum just there will also look really nice, or we could just put the bridge there. But the reason why I'm doing this is I'm concerned about roof heights. And this is the problem I've got, because the roof heights are an absolute nightmare. Now, if I don't move you, can I fit you in? Oh, we don't have to move you, your pin's in the way. There we go, all pro. Right, you're balancing on the shelf. I can reach, and I'm just too lazy to push it in. So we have got that option. Daily Bugle, Doctor Strange, eyeball over the road plate between the two buildings. That should then fit, and to be honest, that won't fit against the wall because of the ceiling height. So I think that's how it's going to have to go. It's either that or they go side by side. We can't put them side by side because that's there. I think that looked quite nice. Or the other thing is we flip the two. I know it did look very nice on that side, but you can see what I'm trying to do with this side, because I want to put the Batman on the other side, which is this thing just here for that Natural History Museum. So that is when this line's done, we are done in. And like I said, the X-Men would have looked really nice, but I just don't think, I think it's gonna be like the Home Alone thing, like I said. So I think it's gonna stick out too much. So I'd rather get this bit done before I build up in front of here, then I can still reach, and it's nice and easy. So let's get this placed in. This is going to be another long, potentially raw, uncut bit with a couple of horrible flashbacks of stuff going wrong. Go on.
So you've told me in the chat there, if we just come in, that you've tried to open the shadow box and it won't open at the top shelf there.
No.
So I'm going to tell you, you're going to have to move it. Right, reaching. Is it full length?
I haven't thought it through. I don't know what I'm doing. Uh-oh.
He's got it. He's now on a broken table with 4,000 Lego pieces in his hand.
And it might be the last time I do it, because the massive upload goes up uploading tonight. So I haven't got anybody's feedback on that yet, so it might be absolutely dreadful. Now what is hiding on this corner is the shadow box broken pieces, which isn't ideal. So we'll keep all the Batman stuff together, and then we can go and attack that separately. Now, diner is coming up and on. There we go. So I think that works. I think that looks all right. I might, oh, there you go, I couldn't find the camera. I think that works quite nicely. And I think we'll have a bit of a problem with the ceiling height on this. This actually steps down ever so slightly. That's why it's really important, because then we've got the angle of the roof, and we are losing literally no space whatsoever. Now the Daily Bugle itself can't move from this position. I've also got to get Firestar back on, because I was stupid and did something, and she's now down here, and I can get her back up on there. So we need to count basically base plates, because I think the road looks nice. I think they work there with it just breaks it up. I know we're going to now have to do something with that brick, but then at the same time it kind of is this clutching at straws. Oh, it's the same colour as the Doctor Strange, it'll be fine. It's not, it doesn't look fantastic, but the head didn't work as it was what it was supposed to be doing. That's it just didn't do the trick. So this will obviously have to go somewhere. But you might have noticed that I have put a second Find the Rest of the Football pitch. So we have now got this huge green area, which is all going to be for display for a battle. Now that battle could be this head and the Avengers Endgame set. We can just have a battle of the characters. We can have them all there, because I have started to wrap it around, and that's something that we are going to clear up today and actually see a little bit better. So how clean that looks is what we need to get the rest of this looking like by the end of this upload. And then we'll do the damage report, come up with a plan of attack with regards to where these boxes are realistically going to need to go, so I can actually open them up, because I need a big building area. And before you guys and girls go, well, you've got space behind you. Yes, I do. But this table is a lot higher than this table. And this table, you'd need a much, much higher chair to build on. And it's just a pain. So I'll have to get all of this tidy and then sacrifice. It's going to have to be this. I think that's what we figured out last time. We're going to have to sacrifice all of this onto this sort of L-shaped table. That'll be our dumping zone. And then this could be our build and rebuild. But we'll go over that later, because there's a lot. There's more. There's more than what I thought, put it that way. And there's even more after we broke the Razor Quest. Which, in case you did wonder how that happened, that was Rocky jumping off the table, and it wobbled and then fell down the loft ladders while I was picking up the Ninjago pieces. So it wasn't a fantastic week. But second half of this, repairs, stuff like that, but all about display at the moment. So next thing I need to think about is, once we've done that and I've measured how many base plates are up there, is where this thing is going to go. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to grab some base plates, put all the base plates down so we can see exactly how many base plates we've got with regards to length on there, and then we can figure out what is what. Because ideally, my plan and train of thought is Natural History Museum beside the Daily Bugle. So we've got Spiderman on the left, and then it'd be Batman on the right hand side, but potentially it'll be the Natural History Museum and the corner unit as the bank, and then a road, he says. Right, they are up and on. So we have got a base plate and a half there for the Natural History Museum, no problem. Another base plate to do whatever we want with behind those damaged bricks. And then in the corner, we can then put another row plate, which is where that one is going to go. And then we can just tuck some cars into the corner. So with regards to the actual layout on that side, it can either be bookshop, pet shop, townhouses, whatever we think would work better beside a Natural History Museum, I guess. Yeah, it's going to be, at least it gives us lots of options, so we can put something up there when we figure out that corner. But what I'm going to do before we get carried away in this corner is actually add all the minifigures back onto the Daily Bugle for the first ever time. And then at least this way, look, what we can start to do is actually start to make a nice little diorama, because we've got all these hopper bits and everything out the front. And then I can start adding in all the cars. So obviously the taxi will need to come to the other side for this one. So potentially we have another row plate there. If we can maybe fit two, maybe not. So what we might have to do is just have the taxi somewhere else, or the taxi could go down in the actual main display or something like that. And then we can figure out what we're going to do with the diner cars and all those little bits and pieces. So I'm going to spend a little while tinkering around with all of this, and then I'll catch back up with you after. So what was just a couple of seconds for you was a little bit for me, which is absolutely fine. So I love doing this kind of thing. Now, I have actually just thought, well, possibly, I always say this, oh, we'll end up doing it on the live or repair something on the live. And we never do anything on the live anyway, apart from just mess around. But because you can see inside the diner now, and obviously there's a gym and all the other little bits and pieces, now I can see it and the camera can pick it up. I wonder if we can actually put the characters inside there as well, so we could have a scene inside the diner, we could have a scene on the outside of the diner, start typing away what Marvel characters or DC characters will go in that diner. So I've got a Peter Parker, I have got an MJ, I've got all of those kind of things, so we could reenact the scene from, which is obviously from here, so No Way Home, because we can have MJ, Ned, and the Peter Parker from Zeta Bugle, and MJ could be behind serving, so we could have that kind of thing, or we could just have all the villains chilling out in there, so they could just all be sat on the chairs. I think if I replace the seats with the ones with the studs on, so when I move it, they won't fall off, that can work. And then we've got some Easter eggs inside the gym, because there's a boxing ring in there, and then there's some all sorts of different bits and pieces in there. So I think we could do quite a bit with that. It is a beautiful, beautiful thing. Can't so much with this, because obviously you can't see anything on the inside, but again, with this, you can. So what I can actually start to do is put some more of the civilians in there, or the people that just work in there on there. I have added her back up to the top, and then Mysterio is now at the top, sort of flying away. We obviously know that he is on the bike on the side of the building, which does look very, very good. I have just put Daredevil and our custom Kingpin side by side up at the top. Then you've got the main man Punisher, and then you've got Blade at the bottom, so all three of those are close together. Then you've got Spidey Pig. We can, again, put some minifigures in there if we need to, and then just create some bits and pieces down the side. But the second you start adding the minifigures in, it makes a massive difference. And I've got the diner car by the diner, the taxi coming forward, and then we've got obviously got the monster overhanging the road. So there's a lot of stuff that we can do, and that's the kind of things that I will start doing now. Every time I see some of the minifigures, I'll put them on. I've also just placed this minifigure in front of that car, because that is the one with the first edition hard cape, which I think looks fantastic in front of that car. So I think that'll look really nice there. And I have managed to wedge that up at the top. Now, however, if I breathe on that, that is actually going to fall off and break. So I do need to get a screw and just screw in the top just there. And then it will just rest on there. I can't hook it in because it's too far down, so we had the big screws in the wall, and it actually just slotted in, and it was perfect. It didn't come off. Whereas that, I've got to think of something slightly different. But I have got a drill. I just need to find a little screw, smash it into the wood, and then we'll be good to go. So that'll be my next thing that I'm going to do. Then we'll start moving some bits and pieces. That's going to be a bit more work than I thought it was going to be, because of the wing width. It's actually going to be really, really difficult to try and get that on. So I might end up doing some sort of custom thing with that, which won't take too long, but I just can't be bothered at the moment. However, I have just pulled this down for you, so you can actually have a bit of a better look. Now, with regards to the bits and pieces at the top, I don't think we can use the recording studio for anything. They can just be some civilians in there if we need to. Now, obviously, we have got the gym. Now, we have got options, because even though this is in the Spider-Man section, we could actually add in some of the overflow of duplicate Marvel minifigures in here if we wanted to. So we could have Cap or Steve Rogers punching the punch bag. We can just put a load of different Easter eggs in here, because don't forget, it is also supposed to be a theme park display, so it is just there for theming. Now, the one that we want to be having a look at, I'm not going to try and be clever and take it off with one hand, we'll do it with two, is this thing just here. There we go. Can't remember how it popped off. So big diner. It's a huge space at the bottom, which we like. So we have got options. So we've got minifigure can stand there, 3 will sit down on there, and then we got 2 at the table if we wanted to. And then you can see you've got the bacon and everything on the back, you've got the jukebox, and there's all sorts of different bits and pieces going on with that one, so we can see it from the front. So do we recreate the shawarma scene from the end of the Avengers film, and then all the duplicates that I've got multiple times, do we just fill that with the Avengers team at the bottom, and then you can see that in the window? But then on the outside of the diner, we put Peter Parker and the other 2 just walking past, because obviously, you know, it can be done that way. Otherwise, those minifigures for Marvel, they could be used in all sorts of other places as well. This is why this, I think, needs to be done live while I'm repairing as well, because you guys and girls can come up with all the ideas. So at least I can get all of this in rough, figure out what's what. But if you've not got the diner, or you've been on the fence about the diner, it's, well, it is brilliant, apart from 1 or 2 bits and pieces that I ended up dropping on the live stream that I do need to repair and tweak. But I think it does look very, 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 very nice. So I will get that back up on the shelf. Then I need to figure out what we're going to do really with the Joker Manor. Because if we put the Batman bit up at the top, then obviously we're going to need to leave some sort of space for, the X-Men at some point. Now I was potentially thinking of having to bring the gates over to this size. So the gates just went into its own city, and then this was its own thing. So we sort of put it at an angle from the wall when all of this was our superhero section. Then we actually created a new section on this table. But the more I think about it, the more I'm not really too keen on that, because I do quite like the fact that I can reach doing all these different dioramas without a problem, and then maybe leaving a little bit of space. But I will grab some rocket fuel and then give it a good think. So this is now the first thing you see when you come into the room. Like I said, we're getting there. Still haven't moved the rest of that table. Far too lazy. Now I have moved something ever so slightly, and I've actually just put that Joker Manor on the angle, and it looks really nice, I think. So we're not cutting anything off. I've come up with a bit of an idea, which is always dangerous. Display at the front, maybe with something like that in the middle of it, and then we've got a big battle going around it outside the front of the Avengers Tower. Something along those lines I think is going to work absolutely fine. And then obviously we've got the wraparound of the Avengers Tower, so we could have either individual bits and pieces. Don't forget we're going to have a path, which is probably going to be about that thickness or a stud less. So it'll either be 3 or 4 studs wide. To be fair, it'd be better with 4 studs, snaking all the way around our display bit. So whatever happens in here, we're going to have a path all the way through, and that's something that I can design quite simply, so that would be good fun. And then we're going to do the same with the Ghostbuster. Just have a little bit just down the side, and you just basically got an alleyway. You can walk around and there's your queue, go in, jump on the ride, jobs are good and nice and simple, and he can stay up on there being chomped away, because it's just an expansion of the big display from the Avengers Tower. Now, because this is on the corner, and I think it looks very, very nice, it then allows us to keep our pattern. So you can now get the road plate in there, no problem, and we can connect the path going around the front, and it comes through. Then that opens us up straight to this corner, which I think it should just literally be the city. They should just face each other with a strip going down the middle, a thin road plate, with that parked at the very, very end. That should be easy and as simple as that. Now, what that will then allow us to do is that if we suddenly want to go, no, we want to put the garage up instead of the Doctor Strange, we can just rotate them between each other. But they do have big fascias of shops. If you think about it, when you go into Disney, you go down Main Street, it's all built up of actual looking like shops, and then you go into them and it's all that kind of thing. So it's just the fascia bits. I think out of all of them, the one that we can make the best display with, though, would be the bank. So that would probably end up coming out and being pulled out. And I think the bank would look quite nice back to back with the John Wick Hotel. So the Hotel Boutique, which I haven't yet picked up, that will be on display somewhere, and I'll get the John Wick car out the front, which I think that's what we're going to end up having that as. That can just be parked out the front, get a John Wick character on the stairs, and everything else is just going to be used as the hotel. And again, that is a big ride in Dubai. And then behind that, I was then thinking of maybe using the truck with some of the tracks. So we have got a couple of options, and we've also got the space roller coaster down there somewhere that is completely smashed. So I'm going to spend a little while now, not going to do the time lapse because it's just, I know it just makes this video far too long, of just literally having to pull this back out again, and then maybe just spinning the garage round on itself. I think hopefully it might be that simple. Now the other thing is I don't know whether to keep them forward facing, so that way we can see the front of all of them. So the garage could literally just stay as is. That spins out and comes forward. That just gets dropped into the middle. There's your walkway, thank you very much. That leaves those 2 units and this with my rocket fuel for something, because this is a really, really nice thing. Now the one thing I do like about this, which you've not utilised the space of properly, is this. You have a very, very nice walkway through, and you can add all the minifigures back here where my finger is. So there's lots you can do with this one, and I think this is very, very slept on, because you've got a lot of space at the back, but there's a lot of stuff you can do. And again, we can add the characters in there. So I'm going to have to get tucked in and make some different bits and pieces up because don't forget where the Jazz Club is. The Jazz Club and this can go side by side a little bit further down, and then we can have another Marvel DC thing there. There's plenty of bat caves and that kind of thing, and there's going to be more sets coming out. And don't forget, that leaves us all the space then for the X-Men Mansion and all that kind of stuff. But I just want it to look as neat as the top of that, which is only 3 units out the whole of the display, and I want it to make it look as neat as that. So all of that in the corner that has been done will need to come up, and then all the base plates will need to go down, and then it gets tiled. That is staying there, happy with that. Apart from they've just announced a new Disney set, which might throw a spanner into the works because there's no space there now. But we'll figure that out. That's a completely different, that's a different problem in my future life. Right, let's get this moved. Right, we're a little bit further on in the day and the rocket fuel is kicking in nicely, and we've actually made some progress, probably for the first time in maybe 2 weeks, which is nice. So what we have done over here is I've got these modulars, and I put them there wrong on purpose because this does not work. Obviously, you can see it doesn't work, so that's why, in case anybody says, why don't you do that to save space, it doesn't look right. If I pull this one out, and then get that into the corner as so, and then use this as our marker so we know that's exactly the correct amount of studs wide, because after that's a 16 by 16 base plate, so that is okay. So that's a 16 stud gap all the way down, so that looks fine. And I do like the fact it is staggered, so we've got that here, you can see you've got the road plate. So corner garage in the corner next to the assembly square. Corner garage works better than the bank because obviously it's right beside the Batman shadow box, all to do with cars and so on and so forth. It just makes sense. And because the assembly square is a base plate and a half, and that's a base plate, it gives us that step out. So not only do we now get to see the bank a little bit better from that side and that side, when this, he says, goes back into some sort of positioning at the angle to give us that nice walkway around path, we can then get around it no problem. So you can see how it steps. So we've got a nice path and then it steps. You can just walk underneath the track if you want to, and then that is as simple as that, because there's no health and safety in this theme park whatsoever. But from a display, if you wanted to get some nice videos and some nice photos, I think that works really nicely. But we are going to have to do this as sort of a bit of a formation, because if we're going to put all of the modulars here as like a little hybrid type city mixed in with all of this, because obviously it's how they do it at the theme parks, we're going to have to go 2 road, 4, and then potentially 2, just for space. But to do this in the middle, I think we'll be able to get them facing each other. So we have got an option of either having the Jazz Club and the pool table facing those 2, and then you've got a run of it there, or we put all 4 individual ones facing it, and then we come out at a different shape with the 2 more maybe usable display sets. That's what I'm trying to think of, because the townhouses visually work perfectly fine, meet and greet and all that kind of thing, but I don't think we'll be pulling them out for like a battle. I can't see, unless it's just to fill up a space. The townhouse would look great beside the Daily Bugle, just as theming, but I can't see it really using it for anything else bar that. So I will put all 4 of these in the middle now, and then I'll show you what it looks like, and then I'll flip it with the other 2 32 by 32 base plates, and then see what I see then for the first time, and then you guys and girls in the comment section can let me know which formula you think works better. Okay, layout number 1 with regards to this. Now that like that I think works fine. Obviously we've got the tree there, but we can do different bits and pieces, and we'll fill it out with minifigures, and for the sake of saving space I think that works to be okay. So we've got the front there, you've got those little bits and pieces. Yes, they're close, but they've got to be in certain bits. So like, that's why I say we're going to have gap, 4 together, and then we'll move on. However, not too sure the backs of these work. That is the only problem. And we can have these facing inwards. So these 2, we can have both full 32 by 32 base plates facing inwards, because they are 232 stud wide base plates. So if they come forward, we can then make a display in front of it, or we could pull the assembly square out, put it to the back, and make a nice diorama in front of the assembly square, and then use a 32 by 32 set, and then tuck one of these in beside it to hide one of those, so we could lose one of them that way. We've got loads and loads of options with this structure. Obviously, the other thing that I can do is when all of this is going to get cleared up the next time we jump to it. This is where we are at. These two have ended up here because I thought what we could do, if we have them forward facing, we can actually do something in front of it with regards to smaller rides, because don't forget it's supposed to be a theme park as well. So again, for example, I always grab this little cheeky thing because it's always finding a home. It could just sit there with a couple of the others, and then we have the path going around it, and it's almost like a little play area, just random little play area they tend to have dotted around. And then we can carry on going further past that if need be, so it can be a bit more of an open space, because don't forget we have got these which did have a home by the actual Joker Manor, because obviously we just hid them just there, so potentially they could either go there and we can have all the rides in the middle by the big roller coaster track, or we could put them just there. Now we lose obviously seeing the front of these from where I'm stood, because I can't walk around the other side of the table, so I can lean over and I can see, and when we do things like that, I think it does work well, and it works absolutely fine. But I don't want to lose the fascias of those, so they are going to be facing forward. Now obviously with it, the John Wick Hotel being a corner unit, that could actually just go there anyway. So for example, that could just be tucked into there. Obviously we would lose a little bit, but you would still see some. So what I would do is I'll grab the bank and put that in that corner. In fact, I'll do it now while I'm thinking about it, just to see if that would actually work. And if it doesn't work, then it doesn't work, and then we can obviously just carry on and just keep messing around. But with regards to that structure, I think we are on, with regards to having all the modulars part of an actual theme park layout, we just need to add maybe one or two of the smaller rides. I think we might be okay. But if the John Wick Hotel, for example, went just there, because that's where it would go, that's what you would see, and you would lose the whole of the front of the Jazz Club. So that is definitely not going to work. So we will have to figure out what else we can put in this corner, or again we step it. So if it was actually stepped much further out, so for example a base plate out between the John Wick Hotel, we could have a little bit of a row plate. That's where the car could park, and then you would see the front of the Jazz Club. So that is much more of a better idea. Now, I know it looks, well, I've cleaned up a fair bit up, and I've put bits and pieces in the I don't know pile as well, but I have found another bit of the Daily Bugle. That was all the way over there, tucked in behind one of the modulars. That's another reason why I'm trying to move all the modulars, because there's pieces hidden everywhere. Now I know this is the wraparound, so this wraps around the side of the building, just on, I think it's that side, I think it's one or the other. It just pops in, so that should be easy enough to do. Still haven't found the bits and pieces I need for the window, so that can go on the Daily Bugle pile, and I will put the bank back. But hopefully that structure and layout looks all right, and hopefully it's coming across on the camera okay. Visually it looks really clean, and with some of these small rides, because again, I keep saying about it, we can just put in some of the smaller coaster tracks. We've got two trucks, we could just put the trucks out, got the gaming truck. So if for whatever reason we thought, well, actually we would like a gaming section outside the front of something, like a VR thing, this could go in there. Or we could just put some smaller shops. There's something that we can do to spice it up a little bit out the front of that. Because I was thinking, well, we have got the room to put the assembly square, like I said, and then we could put the assembly square, could potentially go there, and then we could have like a big area in front of the assembly square, but that's more of a city thing. That's not really much of a theme park thing. So I will get this back, and then we'll see where we're at. So it does also give us options with that set as well, because now that could potentially be used as a playground. So it's nice and simple. All those minifigures can just come off. They can just be added into the diner and other different areas. And then we can just put generic characters, which we get from the Lego store. All the other non-CMF minifigures can go on there. And then we can add all these other little bits and pieces around it. And then it's just its own theming. Now, what I want to try and to achieve, more than likely will have to be tomorrow now, as I am running out of time, is I do want this jet for now, hovering over something potentially, and I have started to put a couple of these minifigures up on the roof as well, so we'll be doing that more and more on all of these roofs. So I've got the jet that we know will fit on top of something, and we also have the hoopty that we know that will fit on top of something. What won't fit on top of something is that orange monstrosity over there, and then the fun and games begin with everything else. But I'm going to wrap it up for today, and I'll catch back with you tomorrow. So today is a new day, which means more ideas and a clean pair of socks. Yes, this is basically another disaster hybrid episode, just like the last one was, which is very, very long. And I think this potentially might be just as long as well. Now, do you remember K-Bricks?
K-Bricks. He's just gone, good luck. That's all I have to say. It's like, yeah. This is going to be an absolute pig.
Yes, Kurt, that was asking all the questions about the table on the live. We've been messaging each other over the evening, basically bouncing ideas around with regards to different modulars and all that kind of thing. Now, he has just got himself this, which is very, very, very nice. And I want the loop coaster. So I am going to be measuring up for that again, to see if it will fit on this side, which is something we've not yet done. So that is now going to be added to what we're doing before we actually do a damage assessment. You can tell I'm trying to put this off, but I have had another idea. I know 2 ideas in one night is terrifying. Now this table is obviously just full of stuff, and it's got nonsense underneath, and I've still not gone underneath that because there is pieces underneath there that have fallen off from all the boxes and things like that. So underneath here is just a couple of boxes that I basically now need to flat pack after doing unboxing videos and that kind of thing. But it moves out. So if it moves out, it means I can just sit here, rebuild, and then push it back in. So I can put the storage containers underneath this table and then build a set on top, which means, oh, disaster and a disaster. You've gone absolutely flying. You still with us? I think you are. Which means this can just carry on. So we don't have to move tons and tons. And because there's now nothing on that table, which that was the Ninjago, it's not going to be the end of the world. It just means I can just build one thing at a time. And this is the right table height. However, loop coaster, this table, this was the only place that the loop coaster could have potentially have gone. Hence why we have got the tape measure. And we've also got the tape measure for something else. Now this is something else that Jay's Toy Collection UK will be very, very proud of. Well, it is this. Now this is the Spider-Man Warriors Ultimate Bridge. Now this is a phenomenal looking thing, but there is a little thing on here. So if I do this, and we do this, up on here, it says Daily Bugle. Now, I said we'll need the bridge to go towards the Daily Bugle on one side. Now we definitely do. So it does look quite long. It's not the widest because obviously it's teeny tiny for one individual car, as you can see. So it's not the biggest of things with regards to girth, but I think it does have a good little bit of length. And we have got these little areas just underneath where obviously people can just walk through and do what they want. But the taxi is obviously teeny tiny. Now people have obviously bought 2 of these and made them twice as wide. It's not something that I need to do. Now there are tons and tons of these available at the moment for seeming all ending today. Why they're ending today online, I do not know. So I will be adding this to the collection at some point on the Spider-Man shelf, which means the tape measure is going to have to come out because I need to find if it's got the dimensions on this website, how long this is. Now it looks like it's a base plate and a half, which means if it is a base plate and a half, that will then go right beside the Daily Bugle, obviously to probably the side that we said it was going to go to, so we can just keep the diner and the Doctor Strange set where it is. And then the front of this bit here, so this bit could go right beside the Daily Bugle. I'm sure these signs say something else. And then the other side, I'm hoping, is the Daily Bugle side. If not, we'll have to flip it around and do it because obviously we want to be driving to the Daily Bugle. So potentially the taller part of the bridge here will be flush to the Daily Bugle, and then the lower length or the lower level would just be the other side. I'm guessing that it's the same on both sides with regards to the feet. So if that is the case, I think we should be, that looks like it's the opposite side, doesn't it? So I think we're all right. So I think it might just be a double web and a double ladder, hopefully, because if that is the case, then we will be good. So yes, yep. So we have got that on that side. Obviously, you've got the road plate with this. So this would be here. So yeah, that's the way we'd have it. So the back of the box would how we would have it on the shelf, which then does mean we can have this bit with a little bit of height, and then we can have that jumping down off the Daily Bugle. So I think this would then lead to the Spider-Man head, and then the Spider-Man head will finish off the shelf. So I am going to say that this is a base plate and a half. I really would like some measurements, but this was back in the day where they didn't really let you know the sizes of stuff. And obviously they're not going to update anything. Combine with another bridge to form a bigger bridge. So you can just make it wider. So it's pretty cool that they knew that you could do it anyway. Now the bridge measurements. I have got my trusty tape measure. So I have got two cameras rolling, so we can have almost like a bit of a split screen potentially going on now. So we are looking at 12 inches high, 5 inches wide, 17 inches deep, which must be the length. That's the width, isn't it? It's got to be. They're saying the wide is the set side on, not left to right. So if we are looking at 17 inches, that is, oh, just over a base plate and a half. We are 5 studs over a base plate and a half. So that means then the head, the Spider-Man head, will go just beside it, and then we will have a full Spider-Man shelf, which is absolutely spot on. So I do need to find one of these. I am not going to make it any bigger than that. I think it's just one and done. There's no need for two of them. It would be nice to have two wide, because it would fit. Two of them would fit on the shelf, two width, and obviously I would imagine you can combine them, but it's obviously a retired product and this is not available to order. Now, as we are on the Lego website, this is what we want. That's not what I typed. I didn't, obviously I can't type. Oh no, I can't type for anything. There we go. That's what we want. So we want this. Lot of money, lot of money. So one day, but I've got to leave space for it because, like the Disney Castle, it's a certain height. Phenomenal looking set. I'm just double checking that it is. There it is, over 92 centimeters high. I don't like the fact it just says over 92 centimeters high. I would prefer it if you said it was exact, but that's 3 foot. So 3 foot, 3 foot, joyful. So we are, 3 foot is to the edge of that table. We have got a bit of a space. So I'm assuming, because we did it on this side, it's to this line is 3 foot off this table. But because the roof, I don't know if the roof height is the same. So we are hitting the roof here, but that is also including the tape measure. So if I get you with both hands and do that, 3 foot to the table, yes, it's just past that line. So it would go here. If that's how it'd have to go, side on at the front, and as long as it will be no deeper than that, we should be, that's done that, we should be okay. So there's potential that that can come sooner rather than later and that'll go in, but we've got other bits and pieces to repair. So I think that is the plan of attack with regards to the Spider-Man shelf. So that is a cool looking, a very, very cool looking bridge. So we are now not putting the museum up here. I think a whole Spider-Man section works very, very well. And all we'll do is we will rotate out a modular on that corner, as and when we want to tweak the display ever so slightly. And then if another base plate of a set for a modular comes out, which is Marvel related, or more specifically Spidey related, it will go up here. So that will work quite nicely. Obviously they rotate these round a long time. So now, because this is still damage limitation and we are still picking up the pieces, we have to now leave, let me just shut all of this down, we will have to leave a little bit of space for the Natural History Museum. So we now need to find a base plate and a half in what we were tinkering with yesterday, which I don't think will be too much of a problem. Now, there are options with this. There's always options that we can do. Because if we just want a huge area at the front, and we put like the little Ferris wheel in there, for example, or something else like that, which we will be tinkering with. Like I said, it's going to be a long one. It's going to be a long one. Grab your popcorn. I'm going to have to redo the intro as a bit of a warning. We can do bits and pieces on that now. I think we're going to have to clean this table up in this one as well, because I need to basically get it back to how it should be for us to progress forward. So we're going to have to potentially go on another road trip. I've got this little dinky one. I found that, but that's already been used for the Razor Quest. Now I can go underneath the table. We'll do a time lapse. That's going to be a long time lapse. Get all the boxes out, and then if I can actually get all the boxes out and get that tidy, I can then see if those boxes will fit and go underneath this table, which means the Kallax can then go underneath this table, and then you can see it's just a nightmare. I was about to say something else then. There's going to be a massive honking noise on that one. Yes, so Natural History Museum base plate and a half. So we need to leave space for that. We also need to think about some other little bits and pieces with regards to stuff that can be added over onto this side. But the key thing is that this now does have a home, because I think this would look quite nice at the end of the Spider-Man bridge. So if this would scale quite nicely at the end of the Spider-Man bridge, I think we should be okay. But for now, that is going to go back up there, and then we can figure out if we're going to use that as a play area, or we are just going to have it as a display. And obviously we can just have all the characters walking around, and it's just basically its own land higher up. Easy as that. So Spider-Man shelf has been decided late last night. Now, Loop Coaster. I said a week ago, I will not be buying any other sets until I have fixed all of these. But I have absolutely no idea how long that's going to take. I don't have much time. I would be able to build half a day once a week, and that's if I did nothing else in that day. So you're looking at maybe 2 hours a week. 2 hours a week, 20,000 bricks. It's a lot, isn't it? It's a lot. So, and there's some really nice sets coming out. So, like I said, I just want to make sure that we are good to go. But I might crack and crumble, and yeah, might end up getting that Loop Coaster sooner rather than later. I think it's either that or the Spider-Man bridge. It's got to be one. It's got to be one or the other. Spider-Man bridge is obviously going to be a Facebook Marketplace job. This. Or eBay, but then you're paying a lot of money for that. And then we've got the Loop Coaster, but at least that is up there, and then we know that is the Spidey shelf. So we're moving on to this bit. We'll carry on with this bit very, very quickly, because I want to move one or two of these bits about. Right, we have made a little bit of progress. That looks, I personally think, a lot better. I liked the formation, the 242, from a space perspective. Thinking that we'd add in like more rides and stuff over this side. Not going to be the case if now we're going to have all the rides over that side, but not all of them, obviously. But we can still keep the theming. So I just put this up there. It kind of works because it's over the bank. Because obviously this is the little Easter egg, because the soaps and studs is the little Easter egg of the bank robbery break-in, so we could have the X-Men crew coming in from that. And obviously there is an Easter egg reference on the side of what is Gotham PD. Just down there on that side is also another big soap and suds bit. And I have got another one of those because I wanted to do some marketing for a train station. So I have actually bought a load of spare point of sale or POS stuff with regards to bits and pieces on different modulars, which I think looks really, really smart. So that's something I want to do, like a graffiti wall. So get these ideas, never do anything, but we've got them. Now I've put just all of the smaller bits and pieces over here, as you've just seen, with regards to all of this. I've just had K-Bricks saw this and sent me a message going, I hate you, I now have to order one of those. And if you don't have one K-Bricks, you need to grab yourself a popcorn machine as well, because this thing is really, really cool. Now we've also got the candy floss, that is from the the red coaster. See, loop coasters on the brain. And then we've got these smaller ones. So these can be dotted around. Now, I personally think that is actually the best layout I have seen for my own townhouses, with it being mixed in with the Jazz Club, which I've never done before, and the Jazz Club being side by side by the pool house. Now, I think that works really, really well. And all I've got to do is, for this side, you can see the pool, and then on this side, you can see owls. Now, I did say, which would have been yesterday, which is probably 20 minutes or longer, I needed to pull it out, but I didn't have the space for it. Now we've got a really, really nice path. So I've just put the cars there because that's where the base plates can go. So the width of the car is basically going to be, it'd be half the base plate. So if it's just that wide, and that was all the way through and zigzag around, basically what we've done over here, but a single lane, we could have them just parked up as a photo opportunity. And then we can just create all of this sort of spider web of paths. Now we are instantly now creating our own square. As you can see, we've got a nice big square just there. This shape by far is the best way of doing it. Is it the best configuration of layouts of modulars though? Now the corner, this corner just here, that is going to be our John Wick hotel. Right on the corner, thank you very much. Beautiful looking thing. Now, that's where it gets a little bit tricky, because we obviously clearly have 2.5 base plates of space in front of the square. Now, the Natural History Museum could sit back. So we could actually have the Natural History Museum there, and we've got a bit in front of it, and then we've got a square behind it. That's where it's going to get a little bit tricky. Now, because we are creating a square, does the assembly square need to be on show? Now, if that's the case, that's where it gets almost impossible, because it's not the most awkward thing when some are base plates and a half and base plates. It's nice that they are either a base plate or base plate and a half. And the half of base plates are ideal, like these, for example. They're just separate individual units. So it's two of these basically cut in half, and you can see that they are individual units. Now, the easiest thing to do, because I know people don't really like them, which is a bit of a shame, is the pet shop, the bookshop, and one of the townhouses, or two townhouses, and say, for example, the pet shop, go in the far corner. Not to say it's out of the way, but they go there, and then the assembly square comes over. But because the assembly square is a base plate and a half, we can't do it that way. And I can't mathematically work out a way of doing it. Now the only thing I can think of is we spin that in on itself. Keep the bank as the bank. That is our corner, because I like the way it steps. Visually, that's going to be very, very nice, because it steps in and it steps in. You can see how we're going to go. Now, because we've got this nice open gap just here, does this building work facing inwards on the corner? Because you can just walk straight in, you've got your restaurant and jobs are good. If it's facing forward, I don't think we're going to see too much of it. Now, if it faces forward, we're not going to lose any space, because we've still got all of that down there, which we could do as a road. But now, if we were to spin that round, we could potentially The only thing I can think of it fitting is we go Owls, Jazz Club. I don't know why you're looking at me. So Texas office stays, Jazz Club, Assembly Square, restaurant gets spun round and moved over a smidge, and we should then still have enough space for both townhouses in that corner, because that is obviously a base plate and a half, and we should be able to have one facing this way and one facing that way, but then it's going to create like a really awkward corner. So I might just leave that as the layout. Think about it, because I really like the townhouses beside the Jazz Club, because don't forget it's supposed to be fascia from a theme park, and they do have that kind of thing there. Especially, again, it's a massive thing for Universal. But the only thing is that the Assembly Square's got this really nice eatery bit in front of it. So we could do something really nice with that potentially. And would it look nice to have a base plate and a half in front of a base plate and a half, or do we try and get both of them side by side? Or does the Natural History Museum relocate somewhere else? Because the Ghostbusters work well where it is. I don't want to be moving that. I don't want something massively, massively tall in the way. I want to keep those as they are. The other thing is Gotham PD and the cinema move, which makes no sense. And they come over here, and then we put the Natural History Museum over there, and we put half a base plate over there. So we're basically sport for options, which is really nice. So again, I say to this every time, we'll get the basic foundations done, and now I'm thinking, no, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do that. Now that is our basic layout. So I think that will work with regards to a layout. Just got to figure out what would look better, and I think I'll just do that live. That'd be easier, because you guys and girls are going to go, I think it will look better paired up with that and that and that. I don't really think that's a wrong thing. What I will do though, before we do go live and before we stop, is if I pull this out, see, that is nice and sturdy on top. Does this work spun? Does that look better? In fact, if it's like that, does it look better like that? With the bank just being in the middle. Do we not even connect it? Because obviously I can, if I want to, I could do this, and that's the problem you're going to have. You're not going to, well, you can see it, but you're not going to see it. I don't know if you can see it as well. But we do need space. That's the thing, because this being a corner unit, because then obviously this is where we now start going, we've got something down there. Is that now wasted space? Does the pet shop sit in there? I don't know. This is the thing. This is where it's going to get a little bit tricky. This is where you just need to think on it and just get it looking right. I don't know if it looks better having a run or having two turned in, or if the bank looks better pulled away like so. Still stepped. We've still got that nice stepped thing. So what we'd have to do is we use this as our marker. It is that far away. So that now is equal to the gappage on this side. So the street as such is going to be the same width. And then we just have that there. But I just don't know if the restaurant works in that run. But the bank actually does look quite nice standalone as well, as you can obviously see it from both sides, and it does look, because it's in, I guess it gives us that wider corner for display. And then you've got the bit here. It's just that is going to be a bit of a bugger, because if I was to put anything in front of it, you're not going to see much. You're not going to see the Assembly Square. I don't really want to lose that amount of space, so decided the bank looks best like that. Hopefully it's coming through on the camera. It looks really clean with regards to that, and obviously just a single strip down here. So this will all be path, nice and lovely, bit of space, because otherwise it just gets too claustrophobic. Same space on that side, and we've still got our nice step, so you can see that this one steps out a little bit more than that. It's half of a base plate. So 16 studs, yeah, 16 studs we'll have, which will be lovely. And then we get into the nitty gritty of Natural History Museum. Because the Natural History Museum would fit here if we took one of these away and one of these just went over there. And then we need somewhere to find for the John Wick Hotel. So, yep, good dilemma to have, but I think that is the basic layout. I think that works well. Let us know what you think of the layout, and let us know what you would pair with what. Is the pet shop and bookshop going to make sense beside the John Wick Hotel? Probably not. Do the townhouses probably work better beside the John Wick Hotel? I would more than likely think they would, saying that out loud. I think that would probably be better. So if we're going to be doing that, does that mean we push the bookshop, pet shop facing forward? So those two just go there. And then we've got the restaurant. And then we do something with that bit over in that corner. I'm going to have a bit of a play, I think. And then I'm going to show you what I think looks best. And then we'll end up changing it on the live anyway. So that is that. So they can stay in the middle because we've seen how much space there is. These minifigures will just get distributed around this area. Now, I tried and it won't actually fit. So that isn't wasted space. I just can't do anything with it. So with regards to buildings, because there is already a overhang here. So I can actually shut the door on it a little bit more and then obviously not see that as much, or we just have a bit of an overhang. I've got these overhanged exactly the same, so it's only by a couple of studs, and then it just gives us that little bit of extra. It gives us basically a bit of breathing room. Now I'm happy with how much I can see here. I'm happy seeing all of that, and I can see the restaurant absolutely fine. I do like the bank on that corner. I think that does look very smart, and that could be another nice thing that we can, have with regards to all the X-Men bits and pieces dotted around. Now, obviously, the easiest thing would be that the X-Men mansion that's going to be coming out at the end of the year is a not too much of a pain in the backside size, and it will just fit. It will just fit nicely. Now, because we are doing what we're doing, and we are zoning it out with a Batman zone, and we're going to have almost like a car show for that, and we're going to have the Avengers Tower with all the different bits and pieces. And don't forget, there'll be lots of footpaths walking around, and then we're going to have all of these little bits and pieces dotted about. One of those obviously are going to have to go potentially in the corner. Now, I was saying about having the space coaster with regards to actually being a big coaster. Now, it is a big coaster. Personally, for this, how much you pay for it, there's not much pieces, it's just a lot of track. So it takes up a lot amount of space. Now, I like that. I like the fact that you're getting a good visual product for a very, very good price point. However, they do a 3-in-1. Now, with the announcement, and I think Jay might understand what I'm going on with this. This might go over a couple of your heads, but bear with me. We are going into not a new phase. It's not even a new era either. We are basically having a Deadpool Jesus moment. So we are going to be having a mutant section. Now, mutant, space, X-Men, theming, roller coaster, but not as the roller coaster, as just the other rides. And then we just have the little queue, which means this would have to move, because we couldn't have two big things close together. But this, with it being the track and everything else, could be a nice piece that comes over here, because you have a coaster, you have a loop, you have the Joker, which is all of the nice bits and pieces, and potentially it's just an expansion of this superhero section. So we just have almost like a big E shape. So we've lost downtown Ninjago, obviously. That's cooked. Oh, very.
Ladies and gentlemen, now we did say that we may end this stream with a man falling through a table.
So I think we can get the Joker and the loop coaster over here, and I think it's going to come to about here, which means we still have two tables for Star Wars. But don't forget, when we do this under storage display, we will then get something back to go there, which means really I can't build the Ninjago again until the storage bit has been put back in, because I'm not going to have the space to put any of the sets. So I either do the underground storage next, or I should get a new set and then just carry on with the stuff that we've already got. The easiest thing is just carrying on with the stuff that we've got, and then when we get back to this, redo it. Because as much as I want this built in a heartbeat, and it's how gorgeous it is, and like I said, it is my favourite theme, I clearly have nowhere to put it. And if I build it, I can't just build it and then just randomly put it somewhere. And of course, it's not going to fit on the Kallax. This needs an overhead table display. So the only thing I think that would go underneath easily, without even hesitating, for the Kallax would be the Star Wars. Right, Jay.
Ooh, look at this. Now this is good. On.
Let's talk about something positive.
Well, I like the Tanty 4, so that's a good start for me. I like the play set. I think he needs at least two, so that's £100 of his money I've spent, and I've just spent another 75, ladies and gentlemen, because this has to be purchased now. But in a way, I've saved you money on this one, because you potentially then don't need to get the UCS ship. That was
I won't get the UCS Falcon, obviously not. No,
I've effectively cost you 75, but saved you 600 odd in an additional Falcon. Because they've nailed this. I've seen this going around a lot of the action figure groups. I know even Kapow Toys, one of our UK action figure retailers, have been sharing this and saying how good it looks. Because unlike the sort of £150 playset version that I just didn't like the design of, they've really done. This has sold this whole line of these mini ships to me. The detail they've got on this, and the way that this almost looks literally like a mini version of the UCS set,
because it's not as deep and we can have it all nicely lit, which is absolutely fine, apart from the UCS gunship and the Disney castle, but we can cross that bridge as it comes. Now, I've also come up with a different layout for the Jurassic Park gates. We're saying about having the gates and then having the Jurassic Park sets behind it. I think what we'll do is we'll have all of the Jurassic Park sets, all the smaller ones, in front of the gates, with the gates opening up, taking us into the next land. So that's easy. So that's simple. That's really not a problem whatsoever, because we could incorporate the gates with our roller coasters, and it's just a big hybrid of Marvel and Jurassic Park, going from sort of one theme to another, because the gates could just take you to a different bit. And we have always said it would be quite cool to have the big dino attacking the loop coaster. So I'm sure we can make that work, because at least that way then that's freeing up some of the table space, and then I can start getting some of the stuff out of the boxes onto that table space. I don't want to put all the stuff in the boxes for it all to come back out again. There's no really easy way of doing this, and I know I am waffling on a little bit, but at the same time, I would quite like this room back at some point, because it's been a long time and it's annoying. But it is what it is. And I've just looked over there and I've gone, there's a ghost there, and that ghost, I don't know. I don't know, I was thinking, oh, could we put the Star Wars stuff underneath the table? On the Kallax, yes, it would fit. Would the ships fit? No. But the new stuff would, with the new stuff that's just been announced. So do we have stuff dangling off the ceiling anymore? Probably not. Anyway, I need to carry on. Now, I don't know whether to approach it with that not being there. And we commit. And then we know that we are going to have John Wick Hotel. Mutant section. And then the Joker just gets moved over to the big scary track section, and then we make the most of what we can do with regards to adding the smaller rides in, because don't forget, we've got all these lorries, we've got these gaming things, they just do random stuff in the theme park. This could just be parked up literally where this is, with the side flap open, and then we can just have a queue line for them getting on the smaller stuff. So the smaller stuff is in the city area, and then all of the huge coasters are all together, which doesn't normally happen in the theme park. But at the same time, I think from a visual point of view, having all of the bigger stuff close together, I think would also look very, very good, as long as it doesn't swallow each other up. That's the only thing I can think of. So I just don't know at the Avengers Tower where the Joker is, and then the Ghostbuster Fire. So these two literally swap with these two, and that is just above it. So we've got all the Batman stuff still together, and we've got a bit of track up at the top. I just don't know. I really like how that looks, but at the end of the day, we are just spoiled for choice. So it's not really too much of a problem. I can just pick it up and I can just move it. But for now, I can either just leave it there, tidy up the space, and then just figure out what's what. Or, like I said, I can just put it in there, put it in the middle of the table, as and when I get the loop coaster, put that in front of it, see if it works. If it doesn't, then we just bring it back. But because that is specific theming to this, I think that angled into that shadow box, I think just like that works very, very well. Because don't forget, that is supposed to be Wayne Manor, which actually goes above the shadow box. So to split them up would be a little bit criminal. But I do like the fact of just having a mutant section down here, and I think that would look nice, because we are now sort of dividing it up in different themes within the superhero land, like they do at the theme parks. So you've got the Spidey section. So it's basically Disney, isn't it? You go into Disney, you've got the Marvel bit, you've got the Toy Story section, you've got this and this and this. That's what we're doing, but just with its own subline. So I think we just eventually, I will eventually get the Natural History Museum built, and then we just figure out where it goes. Because worst case, it goes just here at the front, and then we just have that as a display outside the front of the Avengers Tower, and it'll work perfectly fine. So that we can have Natural History Museum, Joker, then we got a base plate and half space potentially for the mutant thing, and then we've got the John Wick Hotel, and then we've got all of the mutants and all the downtown bits and pieces that are down there. That is a plan for now. But like I said, with all the extra ideas, I do need to make space over this side of the table, and that is going to be our unboxing section, so that I need to make space over there as well. So I need to grab a couple of base plates and put back all of these minifigures on base plates for now, so they don't get lost and broken, and then I can start to place them, I think, exactly where they need to go. Started to make a little bit of progress on that. You can see what I'm going to do. All the minifigures come up on that, then they can just get distributed to where they need to go. This also needs to go in the boxes, and then, to be honest, that table's done. And I've also got to put that in there. There's other little bigger bits and pieces. It shouldn't take too much longer. However, I did a bit of a feeler with regards to a couple of people that have their own city, and I said what I've already said to you guys. Not 100% sure the assembly square works in the corner. No, it doesn't. Fine, okay. So I will now move it, but I want to keep this structure. So the only other thing that I can think of doing, if I pull the assembly square out and push everything all the way over into the wall, see what space we've got left, add in the individual units behind the garage, and then the assembly square hopefully will go here, and it faces inwards. So we basically create an L. So we don't so much leave a gap, because this, at least this way, I think we'll be able to see it. Whereas when it's in that corner, I don't think we can. Also, at the same time, what I don't want it to do is when we create this L, it covers the pull, because you can clearly see we have got 2 base plates and a smidgen, and we need 2.5 just for the assembly square to fit there. Now, I just don't know whether the only thing we could do is sacrifice a townhouse. So when everything gets pushed over, we put a townhouse beside Owls, because it's just a townhouse. And then when it butters up, but is that even a word? Butters up, pushes up, whatever, to the side of the square, we can create the L, but sacrifice one thing. So you're now going to go to another time lapse, and hopefully this should all work. Right, just as quickly as that, we have done it. Now, this is what I mean about sacrificing one of the townhouses, which, to be honest, does work. So I've obviously used the matching sort of colour rather than the teal one, and we just put the teal one in the corner. So that is now what that looks like, and then it will come around facing inwards, and then the John Wick Hotel will be on this corner. Now, obviously, what we will do is we'll leave a gap, say there, and then we could, if we wanted to, put another unit in there, and then that way we can still see around. Now, the bank is in the exact same place. I've just spaced it. This actually, don't forget, is exactly the same space, because it's a base plate and a half. That's what the assembly square was. I just put 3 individual units there instead of the 1. But you'll notice that there is obviously a gap just there. Now, the gap that is there, that is going to be the gap that was already there, because that was the road that was going down. So we could have a road to nowhere. We could put extended seating on for the restaurant. We could split the restaurant. I mean, what would potentially look quite nice is if these 2 buildings weren't touching each other and we had that gap shut in that corner, put a base plate down here. Don't forget, you've got an alleyway underneath there. So we could potentially do a loop around, or we can just do something custom in there or whatever. But you can see the pet shop, you can see the bookshop, you can see those things there, and obviously the corner garage is still in the exact same space. Now, I can, if I want to, pull it further back, and we can fit in another half a base plate. So we can do that. Minus the actual mess, does that layout work? Because it does visually look different when it's obviously like that, because it was obviously a full strip. So we've now created a corner, but obviously they can just walk around on that, and it looks more of a street. Now, again, we're going to lose a little bit of space down at the back end. This could all be pushed down that way, and we gain, well, that, which can be whatever we want it to be. But if we do that, we lose the townhouse basically completely. So I think for now, because we haven't got anywhere to put it, all of this can just stay like this, and then we can chop and change again what we want to do. But I think with the options of banks and mutants and that kind of thing, I think it will work quite well. So I'll put the X-Jet back on top of the bank, and then you can see exactly how much fun we're going to be having with all of this. What are we going to do where this is? Because we do have 2 full base plates of space. I've got 2 base plates plus half a base plate twice, I think. Unless that's an illusion. Let's have a look. No, we have. There you go. So we got, well, just under. So you can see we're going to have 2 base plates of space. They'll go down, and that area will look nice. Now I know what's going to look nice. Me actually taking all of those bits and pieces off, putting the base plates down so you guys and girls can see it, and then we can move on. Yes. And then we can move on, because obviously the space stuff can go there, can't it? So that could potentially work quite nicely, just having all this spacey stuff in front of that. Yeah, I think potentially maybe that's a bit of a better way, maybe a better way to have it. We've got options. So you've seen them both. We'll swap it around if we need to again in the live. But we've got two base plates. That'll kisses up directly to the front of this one, I would imagine. And then we've got this space in front. So let's get this section complete, because that section's complete. That is staying where it is. That needs to go on top. We've already made a decision with regards to putting a base plate and a half down on here if it needs to. Then we can have a display basically wrapping around it or in front of it or doing whatever. We can still see the car. And then that will be the superhero section done until we need to get tiling and get the base plates down, which means we've actually made some progress in the last couple of days that I've been up here. And then I just need to look at all the other tables and just pretend they don't exist. So let's get this moved, get this done, and we can get going. Right, things are on the move. We'll get to this in a second. So we've seen that, looks nice, seen that, looks nice. Minifigures are together, and I'm trying to remember where I've got to within this bit. Now, I've finally found somewhere to put the big orange thing at last, because that's actually where it used to be. We did used to have it on top of the Ghostbuster Firehouse. It sits there perfectly. I need to do, though, is actually add some more supports in so it doesn't actually slip off, because at the moment, there's no studs on studs, that's just slip. So if I just put a couple of studs underneath that, pin it to the roof as well, so then at least if it falls off, it'll rip all the roof off as well, and then it'll fall into the Avengers Tower and it'll be splendid. But it's not going to be in the way, I don't think, because the bridge should be fine. I'm hoping the wing goes underneath the bridge and then the head will fit in that gap. If not, it'll get relocated. But it's quite nice to have those two close together. Now, the more I think about this sort of mutant area, the more things we can do with it. So I have got this Lego Movie 2 Benny spaceship, which is probably one of the best parts of the actual film, to be fair. I think it's Lego Movie 2 they have it? No, the Lego Movie. Sorry, it was Lego Movie 2. I think they have the fist. So this is from the original Lego Movie, and it comes with the really, really nice minifigures as well. Now, if we are going to be doing the space bit over these two base plates with regards to an area, this can go very, very high. Now, if I get you like so, this could be high. Now for it to go high, I'm gonna have to build it up high, but I mean like up and angled, I think, and then we can actually build bits and pieces underneath. But to get it that high, I've got to build underneath. I've got to build underneath. So you've got all of these bits and pieces that we can mess around with. Now, I did angle it on a stand to start with. So I thought, well, this stand is available because this is the stand from the broken tower, the broken Quinjet. Now, this does, with a bit of persuasion, it will sit. So it's only balanced, but we can have it angled like this, which I think looks nice, but it eats up into a lot of space. But obviously it is a space thing, it's supposed to be taken off. I can have it permanently fitted to that, because I have got actually the Technic pieces needed. It just needs to be modified underneath. But this is fully complete, and I know where that bit is, because that had pinged off, went absolutely flying over there somewhere. So we can add in one or two space things over here. So we've got the Lego space sets, we've got the Lego space things, we've got the mutant bits, and we've got all that kind of thing. But we could have this as a reference, because obviously this is also a very, very popular section within the Legoland theme parks as well. But I don't want it front and center, because that is literally, your eyes go straight to that, and it is a lovely, lovely looking thing. And it is massive. They are big things. So I don't know whether to just get that up a little bit higher or put it somewhere else. Now, the only other thing I can think of is that potentially it goes on that building with the nose facing that way, and the hoopty doopty comes over one. But I don't know. I don't know if it would be too much. If I could get it even higher and out the way, then that would work quite well. But that is what that would look like, obviously minus the bit that has fallen down. So that, yeah, I need to figure out what I'm going to be doing with that. That is definitely staying there now. The more I look at it, the more I like it. I really do like the curve of the garage behind it. I think it's slowly starting to come together. There's so much more work to do to get it looking like that. It's really nice, isn't it? You can just put two units together with one road plate and it looks complete. And then you put loads of modulars together and it looks really, really messy. We know what we're going to be doing with that, so that's fine. That's up there, that's fine. These feet do fit in that gap, but it would have to be raised up. So the other option is actually flying over the red coaster, but that would be quite a bit of well, work to get that done. So there's potential. And then over on here we have just thrown the Flintstones over facing the Jason's cabin. And then when the Snow White set arrives, what I'll do is I will probably put that one facing there forward, and then have the Winnie the Pooh tucked in, t'other one tucked in, and have all the trees around it, and hide it basically in plain sight. So I think we can get away with that. Now obviously with that one up there from a distance, I think it looks nice, it works. Then this leads us on to this one. Now this also could be over the top of that roller coaster, or it does come back over to this side and it is part of that sort of space thing. But we know that the back end of that is absolutely massive. But the stand on that one is actually a lot smaller than that one. And I'm going to be talking about spaceships. I have no idea what I'm talking about. That one is really heavy. Now, if you have a different version of that one, this one came out in start of 24. And I really like the inside of it. It all opens up and it does look very, very good on the inside. And I have kind of spoiled for myself a little bit because I've seen a rumour that they're going to be redoing that scale, which is great, in the other, I think from the original Guardians of the Galaxy, which is the blue and yellow one, which then means they're going to redo that one to a much bigger scale as well, because they all need to be that scale really, because that is fine, they just sit there. If that was much bigger on the front, I think it will work well, but it's going to be around the same price point as that one, and it's going to come with some nice minifigures, and it's nice, bright and colourful. So there's potential for that one, but that's long way round of it, because it's on by the Technic pins up here and the stand is super sturdy. You can take it apart, but you've got to push the pins out, because ideally what I want to do is I want to be able to take the stand off, rest the ship on the table, build the base up higher, put the stand and the base inside the roller coaster track, pick up the unit, and then put the unit on top. I can't do that because it's all attached, whereas that one is two individual things, like what that one is. But we are slowly getting there, but I just don't know if we are coming back this far. I don't see why it would be a problem, because if we're saying that we're going to have a big horseshoe shape of all of this kind of theming, I don't see what the problem is putting that in there, because there's nowhere for that to go. It's nice, bright, vibrant colours. It's going to stand out. It's not going to hide that thing whatsoever. And I know that looks a little bit lost on top of that, but it's still a good bit of height. And don't forget, it's theming. It doesn't have to scale. Think about what you see when you walk around different theme parks, different things, massive cardboard cutouts, smaller cardboard cutouts. You want different sizes for different things. And the main priority stuff that we all like to look at and enjoy, you can still see anyway. But this, I don't know. That is a problem. Not a problem. It's a slide at Legoland. It's a play area and it stands upright, vertically upright. But we want to do the actual drop towers with the space thing. So I basically got two sets that would do the same thing, because if this just went up vertically, like that, that's it, done. That is the actual ship And that's it, that's all it needs. And I've done it. And to be honest, I didn't actually realise it stood, because that's actually just stood on its engine. So yeah, that's on me. Yeah, so I could just do that. And that is our ride inside our sort of area. And it's just a tribute to the Legoland. And then we try and get the coaster as a coaster. Let me put this in. Let me have a little bit more of a mess around, and then we'll have another catch up. So I've got to do that one, and I've got to do that one. So as you can see, that one did not go well, but it's all fine, nothing broke off. I just need to figure out a better way of doing it. I think I need a bigger bit to start off with and then come down just to give it a bit of support, because it's just too narrow. It's obviously very, very top heavy as well. I think it works better on the angle than it does directly in front, because I think it just blocks too much. Where if it's angled, we can get it to a way, I think, where we can make that work in there. And then what I do want to do is obviously just put all of these around the bottom of it. And then we've got a nice little play area, which then obviously we can then tile up and do all the little bits and pieces. And this is in. So this is very, very sturdy. Now, I can make it much higher, but I have actually done it. So I've blocked that off. So it means we can have the minifigures in it. And you can see it sort of shooting around, rather than it sort of just stuck in that hoop. Because if I don't have it motorized, I don't think it's too much of a problem, but at the same time, it can work. But the nice thing is that if it was the correct color, and even if we just replace this with something else, the 16x16 base plates fit directly in the middle. So 2 more of those, and then that white gap will be taken up, and then we can create a custom path from the actual path all the way through to where the shop is on the other side. So there's actually quite a bit we can do within this own area and in this own ride as well. But I'm going to wrap it up for today because I've got quite a lot to do later on this afternoon / this evening. So I'm going to do that, and then we'll come back up here sometime this week, go online, get the tape measure out, see the size of the Ninjago sets, get underneath the desk, underneath the table, to see what sets will fit underneath there, and then basically figure it out from there. Before we do the measurements, I have done a thing. Now, I have put this in the other way. I was messing around with it after I turned the camera off yesterday. And I thought, well, actually, there must be a different way we can do it. So if it's side on like that, we've got all of this room done. I've got to be very, very careful because it is only balancing. If you don't realise with this, what you can do is this engine here will pull out and the wings get much, much bigger. And then you've got multiple ships. That's why these are actually designed to ping off. But if we have it like this, yes, it hides the bank ever so slightly, but then at the same time, you come over the wing, you can see absolutely everything. You can see the front door of that one, and then you can see that one, and then we have created this as well, where you can walk underneath. This can come closer. In fact, we could probably get this touching to the tip if we wanted to. So we could just bring this forward, and then that's obviously just going to be the walkway round. So there's lots of stuff that we can do with this, and then what we can do, again, like I said, is I can throw all of these pieces in front of it, and I can find some of the smaller fun sets like all of these, and then that can just be wrapped around it, And then maybe some seating, maybe also put a bit of a food court in there as well, just as like a little bit of a central hub, because I think that would be quite nice with all the external theming. And I think maybe what we can do, we can use all the rooftops for more bits and pieces, because I have also found Superman, so we will have Superman as an Easter egg up at the top. But before we start to do all of that, let's start to measure these Ninjago sets. Now, these are the Ninjago sets in question. However, we are not going to have time to do it in this upload, because by the time I've measured all of these, measured the space of the Kallax, and then actually got round to the damage report, this is going to be another 3-hour video, and I don't have enough time to add the second half on to this upload before Saturday. So we're already about an hour and a half in, because I've edited everything up to this point. So we are going to stop here and then carry on the next upload with this and all of the other little bits and pieces as well. But guys, if you can let us know in the comments below what you think of the layout with regards to all the other little bits and pieces that we've seen. We've got a lot still to do, so this is now going to be like a trilogy of repairing stuff. The first one was 3 hours long, this is an hour and a half, and we've got an easy hour and a half until we're probably there or thereabouts ready to start getting that Kallax in to position. So guys, if you can like this video and subscribe to the channel, that'd be absolutely fantastic. Again, feedback below with regards to what you think of the modulars and all the other little bits and pieces like that. But I'm going to leave it here, and then in the next couple of days we'll start the next episode, which will be involving me measuring all the Ninjago bits and pieces underneath the table. But guys, as always, thank you very much for watching. You all take care, and I'll see you next one. Ta-da.